Hello, for our Mythbuster project, we delve into the critical issue of antibiotic use in livestock and its role in contributing to antibiotic resistance. This project explores the implications of antibiotic use in food-producing animals, aiming to debunk common misconceptions and shed light on the importance of responsible use of antibiotics. Our group members are myself, Alyssa, Emily, and Elham. The purpose of this research topic is concerns have emerged regarding the potential obsolescence of antibiotics. As the human body increasingly develops resistance to antimicrobial drugs, this presentation contends that the use of antibiotics in livestock is contributing to the diminishing effectiveness of antibiotic medications in humans. The use of antibiotics has significantly changed public health. These drugs have drastically improved the treatment plan for an array of infections and illnesses. However, with the increased usage of these antimicrobials come certain cons, such as increasing occurrences of antibiotic resistance and superbugs. A large and relatively unknown contributor to resistance is the overuse of antibiotics in commercial livestock. An article from the National Institutes of Health sums this up in this quote: "Bacteria isolated from food-producing animals have shown high AMR for most antimicrobials used in human medicine."
Hi, my name's Emily, and I'm going to be talking about understanding antibiotic resistance. So what is bacterial adaptation? Basically, it's the bacteria's ability to evade the effects of antibacterial drugs and is a natural phenomenon driven by genetic adaptation and survival mechanisms. Both the production of antibiotics and antibiotic resistance are naturally occurring in nature. Many antibiotics are produced by microorganisms living in the soil and are useful in food competition between different species. Antibiotic resistance is the response and functions to combat the antimicrobials other bacteria produce. Okay, so to continue talking about understanding antibiotic resistance occurs through different mechanisms, so I'll list them. They are restricting access of the antibiotic, getting rid of the antibiotic, changing or destroying the antibiotic, changing the targets for the antibiotic, and bypassing the effects of the antibiotic. Furthermore, antibiotic residues in animals will drive something called horizontal gene transfer in the bacterial populations residing in livestock and will worsen the spread of multi-drug resistant bacteria. Horizontal gene transfer is a natural event that exchanges genes between species and enables bacteria to pick up and transfer genetic material at any time, allowing them to replicate and disseminate. So basically, bacteria transfer resistance genes to other bacteria within the same generation as them. There's a certain group of bacteria that are showing an alarming level of resistance to common antimicrobials used in livestock. They're called the escape group, which stands for Enterococcus faecium, Staphylococcus aureus, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Acinetobacter baumannii, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So this chart here we have is from the National Library of Medicine, and it basically outlines some of the different ways that antibiotics work on pathogens. So as we can see, there's about 5 different ways that they can disable or kill a pathogen, and under each one we see different classes of drugs and their different effects on these pathogens. So here we have the molecular structure of something called tetracycline, which is a class of antibiotic drugs that are very commonly used in livestock. Up here we have its molecular formula. It's a bacteriostatic drug, and it inhibits bacterial growth by inhibiting translation. So on the previous slide, we saw that it was under inhibiting protein synthesis, which is the way that it works on pathogens. And then underneath here, we have the IUPAC name, which I won't say because it's very long. So another pretty commonly used antibiotic is something called erythromycin. Right here we have its chemical formula, and down here we have its molecular structure. It's listed under the macrolide class of drugs, and it's also a bacteriostatic, which inhibits growth by protein synthesis and translation. And its IUPAC is this another really long name, and it is classified as a macrolide drug.
Perfect. Hi, I'm Elham. I'm going to continue talking about the topic of understanding antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance is a critical global issue with a profound implication for public health and the environment. Annually, there is approximately 2.8 million human infections caused by the antimicrobial resistant bacteria, which result in about 700,000 deaths worldwide. This emphasizes the need to address this issue to prevent further public health crises. The widespread use of antibiotic in livestock farming contributes significantly to the antibiotic resistance in environmental bacteria and leads to the release of antibiotic residue into the environment through various pathways, such as animal waste, soil fertilization, waste irrigation, and accidental spills. Such contamination of the environment comes with ecological risk and important health concerns for the consumers of animal-derived products that are contaminated with the antibiotic residue, including allergic reaction and potential long-term health effects. Moreover, the antibiotic overuse in livestock contribute to the development of more resistant bacteria, causing millions of human infection and death each year. The implication of antibiotic. Like I mentioned earlier, the overuse of antibiotic in livestock production has led to an alarming increase in antibiotic-resistant bacteria. When feeding antibiotic to livestock, the concern of the development of a drug-resistant bacteria grows as well. Humans then eat these antibiotic livestock and their health declines with the risk of transmitting this drug-resistant illness to others. There is also an ecological impact. The antibiotic residues in meat, milk, and eggs can cause adverse health hazards such as allergic reactions in some individuals. Also, some research point out that some of these residues are considered carcinogenic, mutagenic. They may also be nephrotoxic and hepatotoxic, which is a potential damage to the liver and kidney. Also, upon ingestion, they can lead to upset the digestive flora in the gut and then may lead to reproductive disorders, which can hinder the infection treatment.
Hello, my name is Alyssa, and I will be talking about the strategies for mitigating antibiotic resistance, the responsible antibiotic use as well. The World Health Organization, also known as WHO, advocates for responsible antibiotic use in animals, recommending against the use of medically important antibiotics in food-producing animals. Instead, WHO suggests prioritizing less significant antibiotic classes in animals to preserve critical antibiotics for human therapy and reduce antibiotic resistance bacterial infections. An alternative disease management strategy proposed by the National Institutes of Health involves innate immunomodulation, which stimulates innate immune cells with non-related stimuli to train the immune system and build tolerance to pathogens. This approach aims to reduce antibiotic usage by preparing the innate immune system to defend against pathogens without relying solely on drugs. Additionally, targeting specific pathogens such as Coccidia, prevalent in the poultry industry but less infectious to humans, could be very effective. By focusing on specific pathogens rather than administering broad-spectrum antibiotics prophylactically, this strategy aims to reduce both resistance and mortality rates in livestock while preserving critical antibiotics for human health. The drawback is that with decreased usage of antibiotics, the increased mortality rates are increased, which will negatively impact the food market in terms of driving up prices and decreasing supply. Higher food prices can detrimentally affect low-income populations and can outweigh the benefits of limited antibiotic use. According to the chart below, economic theory predicts that restrictions in antibiotic use for production purposes will increase price and decrease quantity of meat.
Alright, I'm back again to conclude. This research report highlights the pressing necessity to tackle the growing menace of antibiotic resistance resulting from excessive antibiotic use in livestock farming. It emphasizes the significant repercussions for human health, environmental balance, and economic prosperity. It also stresses the importance of adopting responsible antibiotic usage practices and for international cooperations to combat antibiotic resistance. In conclusion, millions of annual and human infections and deaths are attributed to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. It is very apparent that immediate action is required. Physicians and health experts across the world are calling for responsible antibiotic use in animals. With alternative strategies like proper housing, better hygiene, or vaccinations, we would begin to see some improvement in overall animal health. Innate immunomodulation is the solution that would train animal cells to tolerate certain bacteria, which could potentially be the best solution to our problem. By prioritizing prudent antibiotic use, implementing effective regulations, and promoting alternative disease management practices, we can work towards a future where antibiotics remain effective tools in combating bacterial infections for humans. So thank you for listening to our research project today. If you're interested in learning more about this is the sources that we used, and leave your questions below.